So hello everyone, welcome to this another video of this channel. I'm Abhishek Verma and in today's video we are going to learn about serialization in Java. Now although serialization is a very easy topic, but many times it suddenly appears in our project and at that point of time we get confused. Also many times we face different kind of exceptions and errors because serial version UID is not available in our classes. So in today's video, we are going to discuss each and everything from scratch. We will see that what happens when serial version UID is not available and how to resolve those issues. Not only this, many more things which are a part of serialization will be covered as a part of this video. So without wasting any more time, let's directly get started and see how the things are going to look like.
So guys, first of all, here I'm going to show you the table of content so that you will have an idea what all things we are going to cover in this particular video. So first of all, we are going to start with our demo 0 and I'm deliberately calling it as demo 0 because in this demo, I'm not going to show you anything related to serialization. Here, I'm just going to show you that how we can read and write the data into a particular file. Why is it required? Because I can't explain you the topic of serialization without making usage of files. Otherwise, you may feel later on, okay, then why are we even doing this serialization and all? Okay, so this is one of the best use cases to work with the files. Hence, I'm taking it. So in case if you already know how to work with the files, you can skip this demo and you can directly move on towards our demo 1. Otherwise, those who don't know how to work with the files, for them, the knowledge which I will be sharing here is more than enough. Now, if you will say me that, okay, no, Abhishek, we want the same thing in much more detail. So in that case, obviously, you need to tell me in the comments explicitly that yes, you want that particular video. And I will be only creating if you are going to support this video. Like, it's not possible that you will say that, okay, Abhishek, we found video helpful. Now, please make a new one. That is not going to work. I mean, you also need to support me. So the next one is going to be demo 1. That is why serialization we are going to see. Then we are going to see what is serialization, effective usage of serial version UID, transient variables, static variables, custom serialization, serialization in inheritance, and with the association. So all these things we are going to see. And by this time, we will be covering most of the things. So if you wish, post after this, you can skip the video and you don't need to watch rest of the things. After this, only 2 more demos will be left. That is what is externalizable and how to perform serialization in a multi-threaded environment. These are going to be bit advanced topics. So depending on your learning power, you can decide whether you want to watch those or not. Okay. And you can let me know in the comments also. Also, at the end of this, we are just going to cover again a very small part, which is going to be theoretical, because here you see everything is going to be practical. Even why serialization, I'm going to show you with the help of code. Yep. So the last part is going to be a bit theoretical. That is usages of serialization, advantages of serialization, and disadvantages of serialization here. Yep. So this is how the things are going to be. So now let's move on towards our IDE. So now we are in the IDE. And as you see that here, I'm making usage of Eclipse IDE. Now, since most of you have been requesting me in the previous videos also, that's why this time I'm going with this light theme. Now, you can let me know in the comments whether this light theme is good or whether the dark theme is good. My personal favorite is dark theme. So here we are having demo 0. And I'm making usage of Java 21 here because in my machine, I'm having this. Otherwise, any other Java version is also going to work fine. And currently, Java 21 is the latest, long-term support version. So here I'm having one simple package and this is going to be my class. Now, don't worry because here you see that nothing much has been coded. Just a very basic part has been already coded here. So as you see that here we are having a main method. Then within the main method, we are having a string message in which I'm requesting you to like, share, and subscribe. Now, this is again your choice, whether you wish to do it or you don't want to do it. Then here we are saying that, okay, we are going to write the data and we are invoking the method and we are passing the message variable there. Then we will say we are going to read the data and we are again invoking another method that is load data. Now you will say that, okay, currently what it is doing. So if I will just go here and I'm going to execute it. So you will see that, okay, it's not doing anything much. It is just printing these lines only. And that's it. As of now, it's not saving data anywhere. As of now, it's not loading data from anywhere. And this is just a very basic demo here. Now the question comes is that, okay, how we are going to read and write the data. So here comes the usage of files. So let's see how to perform it with the help of files. Again, I'm not going in detail of that particular part because that is not going to be the main topic of this video. The main topic is serialization, but this is just a kind of a brief prerequisite, I can say. Yeah. So here, since we need to work with the files, so here we are going to say file, and then we are going to say file output stream, something like this. And then let me say file, then let me see something like this, file output stream. So this is how it is going to look like. Then here we are going to say file, then here we are going to say output, and here we are going to say stream. And yeah, this is how it is going to look like. So this is my file output stream. So whenever you want to save the data into a particular file, then Java by default provides us something as file output stream. Since something is going out from the Java, hence we call it as output stream. Okay. Now within this, what we are going to do is we are going to mention the name of our file, and it can be anything. So let me call it as data.txt, something like this. Then after this, now the next thing is that, okay, now since I'm having the object, the only point left is that, okay, I want to write this data. But what it says there is some file not found exception. So one option is we can throw the exception from here. Otherwise, we can simply handle it. So what we will do is we will surround it with this try and catch block. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this one. And here also, let me just make it as exception. Okay. So that if there is any other kind of exception also, it will get handled here easily. So this is how we are going to mention here. Then after this, what I'm going to do is I will be saying here file, then I'm going to say output, and then I'm going to say here stream, and then I'm going to say here write. Now, if I start writing this, so you see that I'm having three methods here. Now, first one is going to accept a byte array. This one is going to accept some kind of integer, and then it is going to accept some kind of array, some integer, and some length and something like this. Okay. But there is no direct way that I can pass this message as it is here. So what we are going to do is I will be making usage of this second one, where it is going to accept some kind of integer. Yeah. And then what we will do is that on this particular message, that is on this particular stream, we are going to start with a for loop. So here I'm going to say something like this, and then I'm going to say I0, then I'm going to say this should be less than, and here I'm going to say message, then I'm going to say here length, something like this, and here I'm going to say I plus plus. So this is how it is going to look like, not something like this. And yeah, there it goes. So this is how it is going to look like. And now let's move it back into this particular part here. Yeah. So this is the one. And now what I will do is that here I'm going to say this one, that is message, and here I'm going to say char, then add, and then I'm going to say I. So now what will happen? When we will say message dot char at, this is going to return you a particular character. And that character, you see, you will say that, okay, the output is of type char. And here it is going to accept something of type integer. Yeah. But you see, character can be easily typecast to an integer. Hence, it is going to work fine. So basically what we are trying to do here is that we are going to iterate over our string message, and then one by one. So first of all, we are going to pick this letter L. We will convert it to a byte, and we are going to write in a file. Then we are going to pick this I, then K, then E, then comma, then space, share, and then something like this. So this is how it is going to work here, guys. Okay. And this way, I'm just saving it. Yeah. Now, what I also wish to write is I wish to mention some line here. So let me copy from my another screen. So I have copied that line, and that line is very simple. So wherever I will feel that, okay, something is very, very simple, I'm just going to copy and paste here. I mean, there is no benefit of writing this out also line by line. Okay. So this is how we have mentioned it. So you see everything I have written here. Yeah. So this is the one. Now what we will do is let me just again execute this code, and let's see whether it will work or not. So Now you see here it says writing data and something like this, and we can say that, okay, yeah, it is working fine. But this was very easy. I mean, I don't need something like this in order to print this kind of a line. Okay, I can simply say sysout writing data and I can pass message here. So that's not the main part. What we will do is we will go here and let me just, where it is, yeah, refresh. So now you see we have something like this data.txt. So this file, now since I didn't mention any other kind of an address and I just gave the name of the file, so by default this kind of file will directly get created under your project name, that is demo0. If you will say no, I want to create it within src folder, under this package, under that folder, then you need to give the complete address, and that again you can check in the files demo. Here we are not going to cover any of those things. Yeah, it's a very basic one, but what you can see is that it was able to write whatever we wanted it to write. Yeah, I mean, it's that simple. It says like, comment, share and subscribe, and it is going to work fine. Now after this, the next part is, now let's see that how we can read it back from that particular file. Okay, for this we are going to say here load data, and after you see reading data, I was invoking load data but nothing happened because the method was empty. So what I'm going to write here is, again, it can be, you will say, a copy of this first one itself. So what we are going to say here is, we are going to say something like this, and here I'm going to say file, then I'm going to say this file input stream, and here I'm going to say it's something like this, file input stream, and then it is going to look like this file, and then this one will be in this way, file input stream, and yeah, there it goes, file input stream. Let me say Control Shift O. Again, what do we need here? The name of the file, because from where are you going to read? So here we are going to say data.txt. So again, we have mentioned that particular one. And here for this also, what it says, okay, let's try to surround it with a try and catch blocks, something like this. And here also, let's do the same thing. We are going to handle all the exceptions. I don't need something like this. And yeah, this is how it is going to look like, file input stream. Now let's see how we can read it. So for this, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. Let's try to go and see if there is any read method. So here we can see there is a read method, and when I say read, it is going to return me some kind of integer here. Okay, so this is the read method. Now it will just return you a particular integer. Now what we are going to do here is that we are going to save this into this particular character, and here we are going to say this int. Okay, so here we are going to read it, and now let's see whether it is going to work fine or not. So here we are saying into this particular way, and again we need to convert it back. So as of now, let's see what happens. So I'm just going to rerun, and in this case, what happened? So okay, and yeah, I didn't printed anything. So let me just copy a line from here, something like this, and let me mention it somewhere here. And as of now, we are just reading this ch. So let me just mention ch here, and let's see what it is going to read. So yeah, this one. So every time whenever I'm going to execute, what it is doing, it is again going to save the data first. Now again, when you are working with the files, there are multiple ways whether you want to append or whether you want to overwrite. So currently, every time when I'm executing, I'm overwriting the data. Yeah, because again, this is just a basic demo. So you see it is going to read something like 76. Now just pause the video and tell me in the comments, why is it saying 76? I mean, we never saved anything into this particular file as 76. So what is this 76? Okay, so this 76 is nothing but the ASCII value of your first letter. Yeah, so if you wish, you can search also, and it will say that yes, 76 is the ASCII value of this first letter, that is capital L, and hence it is going to print the same. But we see that, okay, we don't want to print it like this. Instead, we want the same whole message itself. That means we need to read the same thing again and again. So for that particular one, what I will do is that instead of writing and reading again and again, what I will do is I will be mentioning it something like this here. So yeah, there it goes. Yeah, and now let me just do it again, and yeah, this is how it is going to look like. So now you see that on reading, I'm reading the exact same thing. So basically what I have done, first of all, I'm saying my message is going to be empty. And this is going to be my same ch, where I'm reading the value. So I'm saying I'm going to read the value till the point this value is not equal to -1. Keep reading again and again, because -1 means end of file here. So till it doesn't reaches end of file, keep reading again and again. After every read, convert it to the character and append it to this particular message string. So basically what it is doing here, first of all, it again read that 76. So in this particular one, 76 was read. 76 is not equals to -1. Hence what it did, to 76, it converted to the character. So 76 when converted to character, it becomes capital L. So in your message, it is saving capital L here. Then the same thing with the I, then K, then E. I mean, the same message, whatever is here. So that will keep on getting continued here. So this is how it is going to look like. Now let's try to make it a little bit more better, because currently here it says that, okay, there is chance of resource leakage. Now, why there is a chance of resource leakage? Because we are not closing it. Now, in order to close, one way is I can say it's something like this finally, and then I can say it's something like this. And then obviously I need to go somewhere here. I need to say file.this, and then I need to say here close. Yeah. So I need to do it something like this, and then I need to copy it from here. I need to mention it here. I need to do it in this particular way. And then I need to do it in this particular way. Okay. And why it says that, okay, for this also, again, there is a chance of try catch. So again, let's cover this part also. Yeah. Is it looking good? So here it says, okay, it may not have been initialized. So as of now, let's say here, none, something like this. Okay. So it's looking too big. Yeah. So here there are ways to make it shorter. Now, how to make it shorter? Instead of going with this try catch and finally something like this, we can make usage of try with resources here. Okay. And for this, let me say Control Z, Z and something like this. So first of all, let's reach to this particular same position, because this was much more better position. Now here what we'll do is, here we are going to simply say something like this, and here let me just say something like this, and here I don't need this one, and yeah, this is how it is going to look like. Yeah. So what I'm doing is, now I'm writing this file output stream within this try with resources. So automatically, if there is no exception, everything goes fine, it will close the resource. Even if there is any kind of exception, then also it is going to close the resource. So it's that easy. Yeah. In the separate demo of exception wind handling, I have already covered how to make usage of this try with resources. But here we have seen a much more better example also. So this is how it is going to look like, guys. Now, after this, the next turn is that how we can enhance this particular demo. Okay. So now let's have a look and see how to enhance this particular demo. So for this one, you saw that one issue was that for each and everything, I need to read it one by one, and that's very time consuming. So instead of directly making usage of this file output stream, what we can do is we can do something like this. We are having one more thing, and that we call as data, and we are going to say it as data. Then here, let me say this data output stream, something like this. Here, let me say data output, and then I'm going to say stream. And then here I'm going to say new of data, then I'm going to say this output, and then I'm going to say this stream. And here within this, I'm going to say file, then I'm going to say output, and then I'm going to say stream. So this is how I'm going to write it. Okay. And after this also, if you wish, you can put a semicolon, otherwise you can ignore. So this way it can be done. Same way here also. So this way we have made it as a part of data output stream. So what we are doing, basically with the help of file output stream, we are mentioning the name of a file. But you see that when we are directly making usage of file output stream, at that point of time, we need to write bytes one by one. So now what we are doing is we are putting this file output stream into another one, which we call as data output stream. Now the benefit of data output stream is that I can copy this, and let me come here somewhere into this particular one. And here I'm having this write method. Now you see with this write method, I have the default one also, that is writing an array, integer or something. I have specific methods also. writing a boolean, byte, char, characters, double, float, int, long, short. This UTF is for the string. So I will go for this, and yeah, that's it. Boom. I don't need all these things. And same way, I don't need something like this. Becomes simple. Yeah. So that is the benefit of this data output string. Same way for reading also we can make usage of it. So here also let me use, and what I will do is that let me copy this particular line from here, something like this, and let me, I can be a little bit lazy here. So I will say here data, and here also I'm going to say here data, and here I'm going to say here data. You tell me whether it is data or it is data. Okay, so that can be a good question here, whether it is data or data. The thing is, it is there. Okay, it doesn't matter. So now within this, so again, what we are doing first, with the help of file input stream, we are mentioning the file name. Then we are wrapping it inside our data input stream. Now with this data input stream, let's hope we have some direct method. So here, let's go for this read. Again, you see, we have read boolean, read char, read double, read float, read line, and all these things are there. And I was looking for this read UTF, something like this. Okay. And when I say something, it will directly give me this message. I don't need this while loop here, and I can just make it something like this. Okay, Control Shift O, Control Shift F, and this is how it is going to look like. Much more better than the previous one. If I execute, it is going to still work the same way. Okay, so in execution there is no issue, but this is much more better way of writing. Okay, and the output is again going to look same only. There is nothing here. The proof is in front of you. Whatever we are writing, same we were able to read. Okay, and see this read, I'm reading from that particular one. Now, next one. The next part is we can make it even more shorter, and that is the last thing. So what we will do is, like, why do you think what we are making usage of this file output stream? Okay, just try to guess. You will say that, okay, we are just using it to save this particular thing, and then we are passing here. So why don't we cut from here and we directly pass it somewhere like this? Isn't it better? It is going to save my lines, and this is going to look much more better. Same way here also, what I will do is I will remove it from here, and I'm going to mention it somewhere here. And then here also, let's say it is going to this particular point here. I can write it something like this. So now this is looking much more better, guys. Okay. So this is the way. Yeah. So nothing new in this particular part, almost the same thing. The only thing is, instead of making a separate variable, I'm directly passing. If I wish, I could have directly started with this also. Yeah, you can let me know whether it was beneficial of explaining all these things, or was it just a wastage of time. Yeah, one more small thing before we leave with this particular demo is that here you see that I need to mention this name of file again and again. So what I will do is I will make here private, then I'm going to say static, then I'm going to say final, and here I'm going to say file underscore name. And I forgot to mention the data type. So here the data type is string, and within this I'm going to say it as data.txt, something like this. Yeah, so this is the one. And now what I can do is I will copy this, and I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to paste it here also. Okay, you will say, okay, Abhishek, what did it change? Nothing. Okay, the only thing is, in future, if I will change my mood to rename this file, no, I don't need to go in different places and change the name again and again. I can just make a change here, and automatically everything is going to work fine. That means both the methods are in sync with each other, and hence this demo is going to work fine. Now, if you want to understand what just happened here, so let me just open this screen, and I hope it opened in my another screen. So let me bring it here. Let me just increase. Yeah, I hope it's fine. So currently this happened basically. This was our data. So currently when I say this was our data, this was our Java data, and this was character. It can be a short, it can be a byte, it can be int, it can be long, it can be float, double, it can be string. So I shown you example with string, but it can be any of these. So basically what happens, we first of all convert it to a stream of bytes using those input stream and some basically like output stream. So then it goes out of your Java, and then we are writing it in a particular file. So this is your writing data part. Now, while reading, we again convert it back to a stream of bytes with the help of input stream, and we convert it to our data. Again, it is going to be a char, short, byte, int, long, float, double, string, something like this. It is going to be the case. Yeah? So this is how the things are going to look like here. So this we have covered as of now. Yeah, it is your choice whether you would have skipped it if you know the concept. Now what I will just simply do is I'm going to copy this. Okay, so I'm deliberately making these separate demos so that later on when you are going to use, so at that time also you are going to have all these as separate demos. Let me remove this file from this next one, and here now let's do it for this. Yeah, and what I will do is that here in this particular one, so I need one more thing. So let me just have a look to that particular class, or what I hope you won't mind if I will just copy that one. So what I will do is I'm going to create a class here. So let me say here something as user class, and I will say it as something user. And from this, my second screen, I can copy this much part and I can paste here. I mean, that way only we can save time. Otherwise, you will say, no, Abhishek, you shouldn't have copied. I mean, that's wrong. Why do you want me to write this private int ID one by one? There is no benefit of doing all that. Yeah. So yeah, this is how it is going to look like. So here, this time we are having a user, and this user is going to have this much amount of data. It can be anything. Okay, I just wanted to show you different things, and later on I found that okay, just with the help of this example I will be able to show you all my next demos. Hence I went for this example. So here what we have is we have a class user which is having one variable ID. It can be any integer ID, something like this. There is a name, there is a password, and there is a platform name. Now, as of now, let's assume we are having a parameterized constructor. Platform name is always going to be YouTube. It is not going to change. And that is our scenario. Okay. You will say why so? That I will tell you later. But this is the case. So this YouTube is going to remain constant and all other things are going to remain changed. So that means this user is nothing but you only. A YouTube user. It is you, it is me. So there is an ID, there is a name, there is a password, and this is a toString. Okay, by default it is available. It is again going to show you all the fields, everything here. And now the question is very simple. We just need to write this particular user into our file. Nothing much difficult. Yeah. So let's go here and let's start changing the same file one by one. So first of all, if we go here, this time I don't need this kind of a message. This time I want a user. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say here user, then I'm going to say user, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, and then here I'm going to say, first of all, I need ID, that is 101. Then I need a particular name, and let me write my full name here. And then obviously I need a password also. So p $, I mean, let's try to make it a bit difficult. Otherwise you will say, okay, it wasn't password. Yeah. So that's why I have to make it difficult. We don't need this message. Yeah. And let this line be as it is. Let this line be as it is. And here we will start passing the user. That's it. Okay. And then here also, let's make it simple. Let's say user, something like this. And here, this time we are going to print the same user. Now, since we have overridden the toString method, so whenever I will say sysout writing data user or something, so that toString method will come up into the picture. Yeah. So that's way it is going to work fine here. Same way here also, let's say something like this. And here also, let's say something like this, user, and then this user. Okay, everything looks good here. The only point is here also, I just need to say user. Okay, and it looks good. I mean, there is no issue, I guess. Let me make it a bit here. Yeah, and it was nothing, like only the file name is hidden. So this is how it is going to look like. But the problem here is the UTF method is going to accept a string. So let's go for any other method if not UTF. So this is going to take an array, but converting an object to array is very difficult. So, and I don't see any other method. Like it's completely in front of you. If you see, you can tell me now and I will use it. I don't know how will you tell me. Okay. So you won't be able to tell me. So I will just assume that, okay, the method is not there. So in that particular case, this means whenever it comes to a particular object, we can't make usage of data. Although you will say string is also an object, but with string we can use. With our custom objects, we can't make usage of data output stream and data input stream. That is not going to work fine. So for this, the rule is very simple. We will just need to say object here, and that's it. So here also object, here also let's pick it as object. So this O should be capital here. And what I will do is, instead of writing it again and again, here also let me make it as object, and here also let me make it as an object, Control Shift O, and something like this. Yep. So that's it. And here also what I will do is, here also I will just say object. So here let me say O small. You will say that, okay, Abhishek, why don't you refactor? But I mean, it's not that much big. So let's just spend a bit of time here. And here also I can say object, something like this. And when I say this is an object, so with this one, I'm getting option of something like, okay, now there is direct option of write object. Although write UTF and other things are there, which means object output stream you can use with other things also. That is normal, int, long, short, and all these things. You can use it with this separate object also. Anything can be used. Okay, so let's go for it. And here also let's go for this one. And do we have any? Yeah, we have read object, but it is going to return you an object only, and we want user. So what we will do is, we are going to perform a typecast here. Now you let me know whether this is implicit typecast or explicit typecast. Okay, and please don't say you don't know about typecasting. Like, that is Java basics. So this you can't understand without knowing Java basics. Okay, so that's why you don't know where which thing is going to come into the picture, and that's the beauty of Java. So okay, so we are here, and see, that was it. Okay, it was so easy. That's the reason I went for that demo. Okay, and I didn't directly started with it. Okay, so now you see, now you won't feel any difficulty here, because you already know how we wrote each and everything. The only thing which we did extra here was we replaced data with the word object. That's it, nothing different. Okay, so this is, and hopefully it should be working fine. So let me go here to this particular one, and here what okay, let it be as it is. So here let me just execute it, and here let's see. So okay, it says writing data, which means this line got printed, and then there was some exception here. Okay, so when it went to this particular line, how to read this particular exception stack trace, because it is coming from here. So first of all, we will go here to this particular line. It was invoked, then it went to this particular line, and there it says that, okay, this was not serialized. Okay, same way, while for reading also it says it wasn't serialized, and hence we are getting this kind of an exception. Because currently what we did, we just created a simple class and we tried to write it, but it's not working fine. Okay, and that's the issue here. And there comes up into the picture, why do we need serialization? Okay, so serialization is required so that this object output stream starts working fine. Okay, that's why it is needed. Otherwise, see, this concept is already there, object output stream. It knows it needs to write an object, but it can't write until unless it's a serialized class. Okay, so that is the point here. So for this, what I will do is, instead of directly making a change here, let me make a change in the next class. So I'm not going to touch that one. I'm just going to copy paste again. Okay, so here I'm going to write, and here let me remove this one also. In demo one, nothing got generated. Let's see what got generated if that was the case. So yeah, something like this got generated. Okay, so like whenever you executed that particular code, so these kind of things got generated. Obviously these are not human readable things. Okay, now since these kind of things, whenever you try to save a particular object, these are not going to be human readable. Okay, here it is showing some kind of exception, but not completely. So instead of calling it as txt, what I will start doing is, I will start calling them as ser. Okay, serialization. It is just to mention that, okay, serialization. You will say me, will it make any change in your output? The answer is no. The output is still going to remain same. We have just changed the extension, because now if someone will read this extension, they will come to know that, okay, this is not going to be a normal text file. It is going to have some kind of serialization. and that's the only reason. Okay, so the same thing. Okay, nothing good here. So here that, okay, and I don't want this. Let me just remove it, and let's remove it. Let's go to this demo tool. Let's go here. Let's go here, and here also from now onwards we are going to make usage of this file data.ser. Okay, this is the one. But here what was the change? So here the change is nothing, but we need to go here. We need to say implement. I don't know why this happens. So here I need to say implements into this particular one. And here I'm going to say something like this, serializable. And that's it. Okay. So that's the only change which I have done. And otherwise, this demo is exactly same as the previous one. No other change. Okay. Same demo class, same user class. Only changes, I'm going to now write here implements serializable. Now you can see there is some yellow symbol coming here. As of now, ignore that symbol. Okay, just focus on this one. Let's see whether it is going to work or not. So I will execute, and you see it is working fine. So this is how it is going to work. Now here you will see that, okay, we are writing some data. So since I have mentioned this line, so this line is getting printed up. And when I say reading the data, hence the same line is getting read up. Okay, but this time this user is being read from your particular file. If you will say how the file is going to look like, so let me just refresh, and this is your data ser, and you can just ignore this one. We don't need it. Otherwise, these extra plugins just make your Eclipse heavy. Okay, so this is how it is going to look like. Okay, it's not much human readable. You will see say that, okay, we can read some of the things. We can read your name, we can read password, YouTube, and some other things, but still it is not completely human readable, and hence we have given the extension is .ser, that is serialized. Yeah, you can give it .bin also. .txt is not going to look good. If you wish, you can have it .txt. It doesn't matter. Yeah, but that is serialization, and that is the main topic of the day. That's it, simple. So why do we need all those extra topics? Yeah, so but here what we did. So basically, if you see here, so for this, let me just open another image here first of all. So here, if you notice, this is the thing which we have done as of now. So almost it looks same like the previous one only, but the difference is that this time our data is not separate variables, it is the complete object here. Okay, and that's the only difference. Still it is just writing the data. So when we are writing the data, we call it as serialization, and when we are reading it back, we call it as deserialization. So that's the concept here. And for this, why do we use this name only, serialization? Because of that particular interface, serializable. Now the question is, what do we have in that particular interface? So let's go here and have a look. So we will go in this, and to our surprise, we see this interface is empty. So there is nothing in this interface. So why was that magic? Then we were not having this interface, we were getting exception. The moment we implemented an empty interface, it started working fine. So why is it so? So here we say that this serializable interface is basically a marker interface. Now marker interface means those kind of interfaces which don't have any kind of body. Yeah, which means they don't have any kind of methods, they don't have any kind of variables, they don't have anything else. I mean, you don't need to override any of those things. So it is just empty, and it is just a kind of a marker. So for this, let me tell you a very small story. So when I was in one of my previous company, there what we used to have is that annually we used to have an event. So for that particular event, we used to go, you can say, to a very big particular building. And in order to enter in that particular building, what we used to do was that initially we used to show our ID cards, that okay, this is our ID card. Those people used to match it, that okay, whether this person is actually an employee or not. So they used to do it something like this. Now once they have matched, then on our hand they used to put some kind of tag. Now that tag was nothing but a simple piece of paper. So just a piece of paper they used to put on our hand somewhere here. Otherwise, many times if you see, you go to a particular disco or some other places also, there also they put those kind of tags on your hand. Now, in itself, that tag is not going to store any kind of username. That tag is not going to have any kind of, you can say, barcode also. It is not going to have any kind of password also. It doesn't have any kind of details in itself. Okay. But what that tag says that yes, you are allowed to enter the premise. That's it. So that tag means that yes, now you will be given an entry. So next time, let's say after a few minutes you come out of the building, you want to go again. You don't need to tell them your username or any of these things again. They don't need to verify, because they will simply see that, okay, on your hand, there is that particular band, which means that, okay, already you are registered there, and that's it. Okay. So that is the point here. So that means in the real world also, we make usage of such things, marker interface. So that tag is nothing but a marker interface here. So same way on our class, when we say implement serializable, and later on when Java, or when you say when JVM is going to execute this particular kind of code, it will see that, okay, serializable marker interface is there. I mean, serializable tag is there. So hence I can serialize it. Okay. Otherwise, I'm not going to serialize it. It's as simple as possible. Okay. I hope now I have given you a relatable example. Otherwise, initially when I read, then I also used to feel that, okay, there is nothing in this interface. Then why is it working? Okay, why is something? But in reality also that happens. Okay, so this is how the things are going to look like. Now let's move on with our next demo here. And next demo is going to be our demo 3. So let's go for this particular one, and let's go for here. As of now, let me just remove this particular file, and now let's move on here. Now for this one, as such, we are not going to make any change in the demo class. It is going to remain same only. The only change which I will do is, as of now, I'm just going to, comment this method load data. So that I have commented, which means we are going to write the data, but we are not going to read back. Now let me just save it, and here let me execute this one. So you see that, okay, we were able to write the data. And if I am just going to refresh it here, so this is how it is going to look like. Okay. So, okay, there must be some way to stop this again and again. Okay. So this is how it is going to look like. Okay. Everything comes up here. Now, after this, what happens is, let's say I will go here, and here, let's assume I have made some kind of small change. Okay. So instead of calling it as name, from now onwards, I'm going to call it as username, something like this. Okay. So here also, I'm going to call it as username. Again, you will say, okay, Abhishek, you could have taken help of this refactoring. There is a shortcut of refactoring, but I just forget again and again. I don't know what to do. So yeah, this is how it is going to look like. This is how it is going to look like. And yeah, these are the changes. Okay, that's it. For these changes only, why do you want me to use that shortcut? Okay, so that is refactoring here. Okay, so we have just made a very small change. No other change. There is no logical thing. Yeah. So I'm just going to save it back. Now, after this, what I will do is, this time, since I have already saved the data, so now I'm going to comment that method. I'm not going to save the data again, and I just want to read it. Now, what do you think? What is going to happen? Are we going to read it back or not? So data is already saved in this particular file. You can see there are some of the things. Password is there, platform, Abhishek Verma, password, YouTube. All these fields are there. So what do you think? Are we going to read this thing or not? Is it possible to read or not? Let's have a look. So let's go here and let's execute. And okay, let's save it. Okay, fine. And what it says, it first of all prints this line, writing data. Okay, but in itself there is nothing to save, so hence it wasn't able to save anything again. So there is no save working now. And then we are saying we are going to load the data. Now when we are loading the data, we are going to say here reading data here. Now here you will see that when we are saying reading data, it is throwing me some kind of exception, and this is invalid class exception. So what it says here, it basically says that your local class, which means this particular class, local one, this is incompatible with the class which is coming from the stream. Okay, so there are two classes. So first one is your stream, and the other one is your local class. So your local class is incompatible to some what is coming from the file, that is what is coming from the stream. Yeah. Now why this is incompatible? Because you see, When I saved, I was saving a name. But when I'm reading back, I'm reading a username. Okay. So hence, what should be saved in this particular username? You will say that, okay, it should be automatically mapping the name to the username. But then where is the proof that, okay, name is only username? Who will tell to this particular file that, okay, name is only username? Okay. You know, but that doesn't knows. Yeah. And instead of username, maybe I would have called it as something like, let's say, ABC. Now later on, if you will also see, you will also not even come to know that, okay, this ABC is nothing but a name only. Okay. So that's the thing. It's not that obvious. Yeah. So that is the thing. And how it was able to understand that these are two different things? Because it says that when I was trying to read from that particular file, there was a serial version UID, and that was something like this 500 and this particular whole big number. But for your this local class, the serial version ID is something like this. You will say, okay, Abhishek, where is it? This is available the moment you are going to compile your class. So here, let's say if I will make any other kind of change here, let me call it something like this. And what we will do is okay, let's save it somewhere here and save this to this particular one. Let's move it here. Let's move it here, something like this. Let's see whether it is going to change again and again. Even I'm not sure. So yeah, this is the one. So this is the one which we saw here. Now I have made it as user n. And for this, obviously, I mean, it's not easy to make all these demos. See, so this user n. Okay. Now let's again see whether it will change it or not. So let's execute it again. And this time you see, now it says something different. Okay. And this ID is again different. But the ID which is saved into your particular stream, that is same. Because there something was saved when the variable name was name. But the moment you have changed your variable name, now the serial version UID is something different. So this serial version UID is going to be calculated by your JVM when you are going to compile your class. Not exactly we can say by your JVM, but we can say it will be automatically created by your compiler when we are going to compile the particular class. Now, whenever you will say that, okay, Abhishek, what is the logic of creating this serial version UID? You don't need to worry about that. Okay. Because when we say the serial version UID, it will take care of each and everything. The class name, the access modifier, these access modifiers, data type, variable names, method names, each and everything will be taken care while going with this serial version UID. So you don't need to worry. But the simple point is, let's say there was a serialized class in your code. Later on, you made this kind of a change. So what will happen? Your things are not going to work fine. And that is the issue. Now you will say, okay, Abhishek, then what better can be done? So a simple solution for this particular one is that here, you see, it is showing you this particular yellow symbol. And that yellow symbol says that since it is a serialized class, then you should be having a serial version UID. So it is showing you two options. First one is a default serial version UID. Another one is generated one. So if you will generate, you see, when you will say generate, then what it will do is whatever the number it is showing here for this particular one, same number got generated here. So that is your exec. So if you wish, you can use it. But still the point is same. Like you won't be able to read it. Okay. I mean, if you will again try to read it. So let's see. So still there is no benefit of it because again, you are not able to read because yours is this one and in database, this is saved. So another option is that instead of going with this dynamic, what we can do is we can go for this default serial version UID. And that is much more simple. We just need to say 1L and it is always going to remain constant. So let's do it something like this. Now also it is not working because the rules are same. How will it read? Now you have given a serial version UID, but by that time, something has already happened. The chaos has already happened. So it is like you are taking a medicine after getting ill. Okay. So yeah, there are chances that, okay, now it will get cured, but that is after. Okay. So instead of it, we should be taking preventive measures. Okay. But first of all, the question is how to resolve it. So first of all, let me again call it as username because that looks better. So again, here also and here also, let me call it as username because first of all, this is going to look nice instead of saying user n, and still it is not going to work fine. So what I will do is this time, if you will stuck in this kind of scene in your actual code, so what you have to do is whatever the ID they tell you that okay, in database this ID is saved. So you copy this and you just simply put it here as it is. Okay, blindly just copy and do it something like this, and now you are going to read it back. Okay, so this is the way, guys. So now when you will read it, it will be able to read. So you see, it was able to map ID, it was able to map the password, it was able to map the platform name also. For username, obviously it won't be able to map because that is null. So that is the only trick possible. And next time whenever you have to save, so automatically this is always going to remain constant. So that is the solution here, guys. But this also means that whenever you are going to create a class which is by default serializable, or you want to implement serializable, always and always you should be having a serial version UID. Now I hope it's clear why we should always put this serial version UID from the starting itself. And it doesn't matter whether you go with a dynamic one or you just say 1L. Okay, so that is the thing here. Otherwise later on the data will be lost. Now you will say that okay, Abhishek, is there any way that okay, whatever was there we can read it back? There is no way. Okay, the data is completely lost. The only way to read back is that here you can do it something like this. I mean, just do it something like this, just write again. That's the only possible way. And this time, since we have to write it back, so what I will do is I will write it with 1L. So since you are mentioning here, so this means the compiler is not going to change the number again and again. Okay, so it is going to save with 1L, and now this is the way you can do. Yeah, but that was the way to come out of this issue. So yeah, this way we have done, and now let's move on with our next one. So there we go, and here comes our demo 4. Now we are clear why to make usage of serial version UID. So now this is again demo, and here again this is user. So now here you see that till now we have been saving almost all the details like ID, username, password, platform name, each and everything was saved. Okay, but password is a very sensitive information. We should not be storing it. Yeah, and because generally also if you see, like let's say you go to any other platform also, there for password it will just show you stars. Okay, even if you see your profile, there also it don't show you the password as it is. The only way to see your password is it will say that okay, you can reset your password, you can, if you have forgotten your password, there are some other ways you can update your password, but you can't see your password because the passwords, it's not a good practice to save it as it is. Okay, so here also, what if that in my class I'm having some fields but I don't want to save a particular field. Okay, so in that case what can be done? So that rule is very simple. You just call it as transient. So whenever you don't want to save any field in your particular file, but you want to have in your class, just call it as transient. As simple as that. You don't need to do anything extra. And now let me just execute the code again. So there we go. And now you see. So you will say, okay, Abhishek, then why is it writing here? Because here when you were writing, so at that point of time, you are printing the object which you were passing. So at that point of time, the data was there. But when it was writing, since you marked it as transient, it was not saving it into your particular file. So let's go here and let's see if we can have a look to this one. Again, I don't want this, but now you see, you can see this YouTube, you can see Abhishek Verma, but you don't see that particular field as password. Or in one of the previous one, if I show you like something like this, so earlier the password used to be there, password. But now the password is no more available. Okay, because that is transient now. Okay, so that is the thing. And the thing are going to be obvious that since now you are reading back, since you didn't saved anything, so password is going to remain null. So to your user on the profile, you will say that okay, there is no password. You can either update it, or you can, I mean, later on what we say, you can forget it or something like this. Okay, then you will say that okay, later on then how we are going to compare, how we are going to verify whether this is the same user or not if we are not saving anywhere. So here the logic, I mean, we are not going to work with the Spring security or any other things as of now. Here I'm just showing you the example that how you can use something like this when you don't want to save in the file. Okay, here we are not going to talk about the security part. Okay, that is, I mean, we can talk in some other playlist, some other things, but the point is you don't support for that much that I create a new playlist. So that's why I went for this small video of serialization. Although this video is also not small because I'm covering almost each and everything. Okay, so here comes my next demo, demo number 5. And for this particular one, let's again have a look. What do we have? So now here you see that this YouTube is always same. I mean, we are very clear that all these users belong to YouTube only. So when something is so clear that, okay, this is going to be YouTube only, there is no other option, then why do we want to save that hard coded thing? Because in the code itself, we are hard coding it. So what's the benefit of saving this thing also in a file? Okay, there is no benefit of saving in a file. So in that case, what we will do is we will start calling it as static. Okay, so we will call it as static. So the moment you will make a field as static, that also will not be saved into your file. So two kinds of field never get saved in your file on serialization. One, transient, other one is static. Okay, transient is you never want to save. Static means since the data is so constant every time that there is no benefit of saving it. Okay, so that is the thing here, and here we are just naming it something like this. And now let's have a look how to do it. And okay, it says that okay, instead of doing this, you can just say platform name. Okay, yeah, that's also fine. So let's again have a look. So we will just execute, and you will say, okay, Abhishek, we can write, and that is obvious. But while reading it back, then also we can see it as YouTube only. You can see it as YouTube because what happened when it read back. So at that point of time, first of all, it mapped the ID, then it mapped username, then it went for the password. But password was not saved in the database, hence it was null. Okay. Then it went for the platform name. And since platform name was static, so from here automatically it took it as YouTube. So that's the reason it is coming here. Another proof can be that I can go here, I can say refresh, let's say data.ser, and here we can have a look. So you see now nowhere it is saving YouTube. So in this particular file, now we don't see the word YouTube here, okay, because that is a static and hence it is not getting saved there. Another better example which I can show you here is that this time I've already saved and read it once. So now let me comment the saving part. We are not going to save it here again. And instead of YouTube, let's start calling it as Instagram, something like this. Okay. So let's call it as Instagram now. And now let's again execute. So while saving, we didn't save anything. Okay. So this time we are calling it as Instagram. And now let's have a look. So obviously this time writing data line won't be printed. So, but let's see. So now you see on reading back in the platform name, it is showing you Instagram because while reading back, it said that, okay, in my file, I don't have this platform name. What do you have? It says I'm having Instagram. Okay. Instagram. Okay. So that is the point. Okay. So this way I have shown you the proof that static variables also don't get saved in your files. Okay. So this is how the things are going to look like. And here, let me just uncomment it. Okay. So this way we have covered our demo number 5 also. And now we are heading towards our next demo. Okay. That is demo number 6. Okay. So there we go. There we go. And let me first of all remove this particular one. And now let me see what do we have as a part of my next demo number 6. So just give me a second. Let me have a look here. So as a part of my demo number 6, okay, yeah. Demo number 6 is I want to show you some custom serialization. Okay, so let's go for this particular one. So again, we have a demo here and we have a user here. Now you see, when I say transient, it was not getting saved into a database. But what I want is that this time I want to save it, but I don't want to save it directly. Okay, I mean, I want to encrypt the password and then save it. So you will say, okay, Abhishek, how is it possible? Now, one option is that you just simply remove transient from here. Okay, and by default, you mention this password as, I mean, somehow you just encrypt it in some of the ways. Okay, that is one of the options. So that encrypted password will get saved. But the point is, from user, you never ask for the encrypted password. User can always give you this normal password only. Your point is that you want to encrypt and then you want to save. Okay, so for this, what we will do is, again, first of all, we are going to say here transient, which means I don't want it to be serialized by default. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to say here, that okay, please don't get serialized by default. And then what I'm going to do here is that here I'm going to write another method. So this method I'm writing within my user class, not within the demo, because this is the place where you can write it. So here I'm going to write a private method. Okay, so you don't need to make it public, just a private method. And here it is going to be write then object. So this is the method name. Let me just copy it from this particular part, something like this. Otherwise, I mean, it's too much writing. Okay, and my writing speed is a bit slow. So yeah, this is how it is going to look like. So we have a write object here, and here this is going to accept an argument of object output string, because you see that when we are writing at that time, it is an object output string. Yeah, so this is the one. So what we will do is that here we are going to say something like this. So here we will say object output string, and then we are going to say default write object. Okay, so first of all, default write object. So how it is going to behave now? So this will behave something like this. So first of all, this save data will be invoked. You are passing your user. Then within this write object method will be invoked. But this write object method is different from yours. You will say how these are two different, because you see this object is accepting an object data type, and it is a part of object output string. But this write object is a part of your class, and it is accepting object output string. So these are not same, these are two different ones. But the magic is that internally, so you don't need to worry about that logic, but internally this method will call your this write object method. Whenever it will call, it will see that okay, whatever is there by default in serialization, whatever I do, I have to do the same job, whatever I used to do. That okay, I used to serialize ID, I used to serialize username and something like this. So I'm going to do the same thing. So that I have to do. Besides this time I also want to save password, but after encrypting. So what I will be doing is I will say here something like this object output string, and then I'm going to say here write, and then I'm going to say here object, something like this. Okay, but in this particular one, what we will do is we will say here encrypt, something like this, and we are going to say password, and within this let's pass our password here. Okay, so we are going to pass this password here. You will say where is this method encrypt password? So yeah, it is not available, so let's create this method somewhere here. So we have created this method, and now in this method we are not going to do anything big, but we will just do a very small thing, that whatever is the password, we are going to encrypt it, and what we are basically doing, we are reversing it and we are saving it. Okay, so instead of saving it directly, we will first reverse it and then save it. There can be another ways also of encrypting, but we are using one of the simplest ways. You will say how is it encrypting? I mean, this is just demo, guys. Okay, it's not a very big thing, so hence this is going to work fine, and you can see it is going to return you a string, and that works fine. Okay, so this way we are going to save after encrypting. So now let's do it something like this and see how it is going to look. So you see that this time when you are writing, again it is looking good, because at that time obviously it will say password only. But what do we see in our SCR file? So first of all, have a look. So okay, refresh. Why nothing is coming this time? I mean, that's very strange that it's not loading. I feel that okay, maybe this method didn't got executed. And now let's have a look here. Okay, I guess previously the other method got executed from the demo 5. It got executed, that's why. So now we see that somewhere here, so you see it is actually storing password now, but after reversing it. So here you see p@SSWORD. So after reversing, it is working. Okay, so internally this method got called. You don't need to do anything. Then what we are saying, that first of all, whatever you wish to write, just do it. Then for this password, do something extra. Okay, and since we are saying password, and hence that is possible. But then you will say that okay, Abhishek, it is still not reading back. Okay, so still it is not reading the same, because for reading also you need to do that kind of customization. Okay, so for this what I will do is I will just simply copy paste this method from here, and okay, let me do it something like this. And what I will do is I will copy this method something like this, and I'm going to paste it like this. Okay, password. Okay, and as of now let's try to do it something like this. Okay, so let's say something in this particular way. Okay, so again what we are saying here, we are saying read object, so this also will behave in the same way. So whenever you are going to say here read object from object input stream, internally somehow it is going to invoke the read object method of your user class. There it is going to pass, it will say read default read object, read the default things, then read password also, because password you didn't saved in a default way, hence while reading also you need to say it explicitly that read password also. Obviously this is encrypted password, and we are saying save it directly to the password as of now. Okay, and now let's execute it, let's see what will happen. So this time you see when you are reading back, it is showing you the encrypted password. But this won't work fine. If you are encrypting, you should decrypt also. So what we will do is we are going to paste it somewhere here, and here we are going to say decrypt password. And here what we will do is that instead of directly invoking it something like this, let's mention it as something in this particular way. Here we are going to say copy, here we are going to say something, here we are going to say something, and here we are going to say decrypt. Okay, and here the decrypt spelling is this one. Now some of you may can say that okay, the logic of this encrypt and decrypt is same, better you could have done, and that kind of enhancements you can do on your own. Okay, so this way we have decrypted the password, although our logic was very same. So you will say that okay, encrypted decrypting logic remains looks similar, but that's how generally how it happens. Okay, the encryption and decryption is nothing but reverse of encryption only. So now you see that here while writing we are saying this thing, while reading back also we are able to see, but when it gets saved in the database, or you can say when it gets saved into this particular file, it gets saved in the encrypted format. And this is just one of the ways I have shown you. Same way you can do for all others also. If you say no, I don't want to do for any of these else, just make them transient and just do whatever the way you wish to do. But the question is, it just completely depends as per the requirement. Okay, now some of you now may just get confused, or some of you will just tell me in the comments that okay Abhishek, you didn't told us that how these read object method will get invoked from this particular read object method. Now the thing is that if you wish, you can just trust me that you don't need to worry about all those things, because that is being taken care internally. Yeah, and that's why I'm not covering here. But still, if you are interested, how you can know? So for this, just start going inside these methods, as simple as that. Start going inside these methods. Somewhere you will find something. Okay, I mean all these things are there. Now it is your wish. Do you want to spend your precious time and just going through all these things which is not even required, or do you want to spend your time in the right direction? Okay, so that is a major point, guys, because many times when we read something, at that point of time we need to understand that some of the things are enough if we just have a read. We don't need to go in that much detail until unless we have some extra time. We don't need to go into that particular details. Okay, but this also we have covered up here. Now let's move on to with this next particular one, and let's copy paste the same thing. Yeah, and I hope this time you are not going to say me that okay Abhishek Verma, you were just copy pasting, because I mean see, the first one I wrote, and then it is not possible for me that I keep on writing each and every basic one. Okay, so let's go again. For this particular one, I need to make usage of a new class. So what I will do is, first of all, I will create a new class here, and let me call as influencer. Okay, so what is the spelling? Influencer. Okay, influencer user. Okay, so this is the one. Okay, influencer user. So it was difficult. And here what I will say is I'm going to say extends. Here I'm going to say user, something like this. And within this, what I will do is I'll do a very basic thing. I'm going to copy paste the logic, and that's it. Okay, so you see what basically I've done. I've created a new class, and I'm just saying that okay, this is the one. Okay, it is going to extend user. Here, this is going to have two more variables, a follower count and whether the person is verified or not. So user is a common user like you. Influencer user, I mean, obviously I won't call myself as influencer here, but yeah, someone who is going to, let's say, create a video. So hence they are going to have some follower counts. They may be verified, they may not be verified, something like this. Okay. So, and obviously for this in user, we don't need to do anything else. Our user part is going to remain same. This is your choice. Okay. This time, whether since I have just copy pasted the previous one, hence all these methods are there. If you don't wish, you don't need to have. I mean, just feel free to remove. Yeah. So this I'm expecting from you that you should be able to do on your own. Later on, it should not happen that you are just saying to me only that, okay, Abhishek, you should have removed that extra data, then you should have done this. I'm expecting that you should be able to do. Okay. Because I mean, the goal of these videos is not to, I mean, that you just start cramming all the things. Okay. Here, the goal is that you understand the things. If you are able to understand the things, you should be able to do it next time on your own without even watching my videos. Although that will impact me because already you are not watching the videos. Yeah? So that's the one. So, but yeah, I can bear that pain. So here what I will do is here I'm going to pass this new whole big data, and this time my data is going to look something like this. Okay. So this is the one. So here I'm saying this time influencer user we are going to save. That means we are going to have a follower count. We are going to say as of now, since I mean YouTube didn't verified me, so I will say here false only. I hope it will verify if you will start following me, but you won't do that. Yeah, I know. So, but no worries. So here we say this is the follower count, and see as of now the the number of subscribers is this still 17,000 only. Not big. Okay. Something interesting I can do. I can put up this underscore here. Becomes readable. Yeah. So this is how it is going to look like. Now the question is, this influencer user is not serialized. What do you think? Will it work or not? The point is, whenever you have such kind of things, then the child class, you don't need to serialize explicitly. You see here also it is showing me this yellow symbol, which means the only good thing which I need to do here is I just need to add a default serial version UID. I don't need to explicitly say implements serializable. And that's what I would just wanted to show you in this particular inheritance demo. For inheritance in the child class, you don't need to again and again say implement serializable. Yep. So this is the point here, guys, and nothing much to show here. And now you will see that, okay, rest of the things are going to remain same. Yep. That's the only point. And then here also the same point, serial version UID is mandatory. Otherwise, you have already seen in the previous demo what issue we are going to face. Okay. Hence, it's always well and good that you mention this serial version UID in the starting itself. Let's move on with this next one. Okay. And here let's close, and here you see. Okay. So you see the concept, it's not very difficult. It's the only point is if you learn it in the right way. Okay. The concept in itself is not that much difficult. This time I need one more class, and here the class name is going to be gadget, something like this. And let's say it into this particular way. For this also, I need to copy some data. So let me copy from my another screen here. And here for this particular one, okay, I copied it in a wrong way. And yeah, this is how it is going to look like. Okay. So I have mentioned it something like this, gadget. Now I will go to this user, and I should be doing it somewhere here also. So again, let me see. And what we will do is we are going to mention the same thing here, something like this. Okay. And here also I will say that, okay, I need this gadget into this particular framework. And here I'm going to say this dot gadget equals to here, whatever the gadget comes. Okay. So that's going to be the one. And in this particular toString also, let me copy the same thing. So I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste the same thing again. So the same thing I have done, nothing much. Okay. I could have recreated it. So to this influencer user, and here also what do we need is, here also we need to pass. Okay. Because from the child, if we are going to pass, then it will reach till parent. Otherwise, it's not going to reach. Okay. So this is how your gadget is going to look like, guys. Okay. Very simple. So This was how the things were looking like. Password, everything was getting saved earlier. And now what do we have issue in this demo? So here it says, okay, it says there is no gadget. So here let's say gadget, and here let's say gadget, and here let's say new of gadget, something like this. And here we are going to pass it as our last variable gadget. And within this, what do we need? We need two strings. What were those? I forgot. So yeah, brand and type. Okay. So my laptop is of Lenovo. So I need to mention it here as Lenovo. And this is my laptop. So let me just mention it as laptop. Yeah, I'm making usage of Lenovo laptop here. So this is how it is going to look like. Yeah, again, no advertisement. So this is how it is going to work. Let's again have a look and see whether it will work. Oh, okay, it gave me some error. And first of all, let me remove this file and let me do it again. So okay, still there is error. What's the error? It again says not serializable exception. Why is it? Now everything is serialized. I mean, my user is serialized, my influencer user is serialized. So what is the issue? Issue is that this time gadget class is not serialized. Okay, so in your inheritance, so if you are going come down in your inheritance, it will get serialized automatically. But if there is any associated class, that class, if that class is not serialized, then your main class will also face the issue. Because now again, try to see the same thing. You can assume that, let's say you are going to disco and there are two people. Okay, now you were the main person. Let's say in your hand you got that particular band, but then there was someone coming along with you and he or she is not having the band. So next time if both of you are going to come out and go back, so this time only you will be allowed to enter inside and your partner will not be allowed to enter inside, because he or she is not having the band in their hands, and hence this issue is again going to come. So the logic is very simple. We are going to say here implements, and here we are going to say the serializable, and here then we are going to say it's something like this. And yeah, same, as simple as that. The world is very simple. The only thing is you just need to do the things in the right way and see everything looks good. Okay, user ID, username, password, platform, gadget, brand, Lenovo, all these things. The more better part, why my demos here are even more better, because in user, you see, we are making usage of these custom things. If you don't use these custom things, then also it is going to work fine. But here, since we are just incrementing our demo step by step, and hence everything is working fine. So it's not a case that, okay, something went difficult and then I'm not showing you. I'm even showing you that, see, password is still getting saved in the, what we say, in the encrypted format. Okay, so everything is looking well and good till this particular point, and that is the point where you can take a break, because as I said, this is the point which everyone should be aware of. After this, two more demos left, and those are a bit high level demos, and that completely depends on you whether you want to go for those demos or not. Okay, for that particular one also, let me just open my another class so that I can show you how the things are going to look like. Okay, for this one, what I will do is, first of all, I'm going to copy and paste this. Okay, something like this. I mean, now you can tell me whether you have watched the whole video or not. So let's see who will be able to watch the complete video after this. So we have this demo 9, and here let me remove this extra data, and here let's remove this, and here let's say this, and here we have something. Let's again start with this user. Okay, so what is the next demo about? The next demo is about a concept known as externalizable. So this was serializable. The next one is externalizable. Okay, now the concept is very much similar to your this particular one only, that is serializable. But the point is, in serializable, everything is automatically taken care. The serialization, deserialization is automatically taken care the moment you say implements serializable. Then you say, no, we want to do something custom. Then you can do those custom things like this. You can say write object, you can say read object, and those custom things can be done. But what if you say, no, I want to do everything complete custom on my own. I don't want to use serializable, but I want to get the benefits of serializable. Then how to do? So in that case, the option is instead of going with this serializable, there is something known as externalizable. It's too complicated name to pronounce. Externalizable. Control Shift O. Yeah, it was the correct name. Okay. So let's go for this one. Now, this externalizable, what it does, it basically extends serializable only. So this is also another interface and it extends serializable. But what happens here is that this is basically used when you want to customize things more on your own, when you want more control in your hands. Okay. Now, how it is going to provide more control in your hands? Because here we are having two abstract methods, void write external and read external, which means that this time it becomes mandatory. So earlier, when you were making usage of serializable, there was nothing within the interface. So there was nothing that, okay, you need to write these methods or not. It was completely your choice. But now it becomes mandatory that you override these methods. Okay. So for this one, what we have to do is that first of all, let's start writing. So let's say somewhere here source, and let's say override implement methods, something like this. And let me remove this extra space into this particular way. Let me do it something like this. And this is my write external. Okay. Now, here what I will do is that this time I'm just going to say here this as out, and then I have to do it like this. Okay. So now, since you are doing it on your own, you have to do the things one by one. Okay. So for each and everything. So first one was int ID. So hence I'm saying this. Now the next one I'm going to say here something like this, right? And the next one is a string. So for string, I'm going to say this UTF, and then I'm going to say here this particular as username. And see, for this int ID, you don't wrote explicitly as transient. Still, this way it is going to work fine. Last time, when for password you want to do something like this, it becomes mandatory that you say it as transient. This time, you have to do it like this. Okay. Now this transient doesn't matters. Okay. So from here also, if you wish, you can remove your transient. It is not going to matter much. Okay. The next one is obviously going to be your password then. So for password, what we will do is we are going to use this logic. That's why I didn't remove it. Okay. And here what I can say is I can say here OUT out. Okay. So this way it is going to work fine, and the same method is going to work fine for me here also. So this I have done. Then the next one is platform name. Okay. So platform name, you see it is static one. Okay. Or here you don't even need to make it as static. Okay. Like you can just write it like this. Okay. Just don't save. Okay. Or better is you call it as static, because so that every time it becomes the name. So just write it as static, but you don't need to do anything much here. So that way it is going to work fine. And this last one is going to be your gadget. So here we are going to say OUT out, then we are going to say write, and here we are going to say object, and here we are going to say gadget. So this way it's going to work fine. Same way for your read also, what I will do is instead of doing it one by one, let me just simply copy and paste it here. Okay. So this way I'll do, and here let me start writing it as in, and this is also, again you will say that, okay, Abhishek, you could have made usage of refactoring, but like there was an ad and there was like whether your soap is low. That doesn't sound good. Okay. So yeah, this is how it is going to look like, guys. Okay. So this is the one, and here what we say, we don't need this read object now, and yeah, decrypt password we are using. Okay. So you see, this time I have overridden the methods. So this time in these methods, I'm explicitly need to say which part I want to save, which part I don't want to save, which part I want to save directly, which part I want to save after encrypting, something like this. Since for platform name, you didn't wrote anything, it won't get saved in your file. Yeah? Then another interesting part, since it is not serialization now, hence serial version UID is no more needed. So you can just simply go for it. Okay. So that is not required now, because you see why it was mandatory to write earlier, so that later on if you are making any change here, there is no issues. But now everything will be taken care by you only. So if you are making any changes, so later on you have to just change here also. Like here, let's say later on you again make it as name. So what will you do? You will read the UTF and you will save it to your name only. That is again up to you only. So this way it is going to work fine. So this we have done for this user, and the same let's do for others also. So let's go for this influencer user. So here it doesn't shows me anything. I don't think for this we have to do, but for this one, let's first of all do it. So let's go back for this particular one, implements this, and here we are going to say something like this, implements, and here we are going to say something, and here let's say add unimplemented methods. So let's say something like this. I don't want these methods to be here. I want them to be here. I don't want these extra, I mean, this much extra space is, why do they want to provide all these extra space? I don't want to write all these things. So I hope you won't matter if I will just do a simple copy paste from here, and I'm going to provide these details here. Something as simple as that. Okay. So this is going to work fine. So in the gadget, I have made the change because that was a separate one. In the user, I have made a change because that was the thing. Influencer user, as of now, I'm not doing anything. Okay. Because here it says extend user and something. And demo, no other change required. And that's the best part. So in your main business logic, if you are having serializable, but you want more control, you want externalizable, you can just change it directly. You don't need to make changes in other things. Okay. And let's see how it is going to work fine this time. So let's click on this one. And we say no valid constructor. And why so? So here the point is that the moment you start using this serializable, then it becomes very, very mandatory that in your classes, you should be having a default constructor also. And that is an important part here, guys. Okay. So what I will do here is that here I will say something like this public, and I'm going to say this user. I'm going to say this here, and here we will say here super. And not this one, but here super something like this. So every class which is implementing externalizable should be having this super, or you can say a default constructor. So here also let's go, and here also let's say the same thing. And here let's say we have a gadget. So this was required. Influencer user, okay, this was the one. And here also we need, okay. So every class. So otherwise things are not going to work, because the main error was this influencer user is not having a valid constructor. Yeah. So even this class needs to have that. So here we are going to call parents default constructor. So this time we are getting a new exception. And if we see, so it says that, okay, it was able to write the data, but while reading, it says there is some end of file exception. And it points to this read UTF. So here it says this one. And okay, so I mean, what do we see here in different? It seems to be right only. It says this read UTF. So here, if you see, I mean, what can be the problem? So one thing for sure that you can't go more inside this, okay? Because if you feel that, okay, maybe some issue in this line, so it's a part of object input stream, so you can't go there. So there is something available in this line only. So what's the issue here? So if we clearly see here, so first of all, we need to verify that whatever we are writing, are we reading the same things or not? So for integer, we said write int. Here we said read int. For name, we said write UTF. Here we are saying read UTF. For password, we were encrypting. Then we are saying write object. Here we are saying read UTF, and then we are saying decrypt password. And that's the cause of issue. Because you see, while writing a password, you used write object. But while reading back a password, you want to use read UTF. And at this point of time, it will see that, okay, there is no string after username. There is an object after username. You want a string. So again, there is a mismatch, and hence it is not going to work fine. So the solution is that since obviously it is a string. So, I mean, first of all, the solution is both of these things should match. If there it is object, here also it needs to be object only. Otherwise, in this case, in both the places, it should be UTF only, because these are strings only. Yeah. So now let's execute the same. And this time we see that, okay, it is working perfectly fine. So here you see, we are getting ID, username, password, platform name, gadget, Lenovo, laptop, brand, everything. But wait, for follower count and is verified, we are still not getting the answers. You will say, no, Abhishek, is verified is getting saved, but that is not actually getting saved. The reason is that in influencer user, is verified is a boolean. Default value of boolean is false only. And since you didn't supported me, for me also, I'm still on the default value false. So hence it looks same, but neither the follower count nor is verified is working fine. The reason is very simple. So if first of all we go here and if we verify whether it's there or not, so here we can see we don't see any of those numbers here. Neither we can see 17089 nor we can see this false. The reason is because this influencer user, you didn't wrote those methods. Okay, I mean these methods are not available. Read external, write external, these are not available. So what we can do here is, let's have a look and go here. So override implemented method. So yeah, first of all, let's go for them and let's say it in this particular way. And here we don't need this, here we don't need this. So yeah, you just need to do something like this. And again, for them also, you just need to do the same thing. So here we are going to say out, then we are going to say write, we are going to say write int, and yes, that is going to be the follower count. And the next one is out dot when we are going to say write, and it should be a boolean, and yes, it's going to be this one. Then for the next one, let me do a copy paste from my another screen, and we are here guys, and yes, it's looking good. The only thing is I need to call it as in, and here also I need to call it as in. Okay, so this is the thing. In serializable, you remember in influencer user, it wasn't mandatory to override these methods or do anything with these. But here, since it is externalizable, you are externalizing, or we can say you are outsourcing everything on your own. Okay. But the advantage, you are getting more control. Okay. Now it is up to you. You want more control, do this. You don't want more control, don't do this. As simple as that. Okay. So now you can verify each and everything is working fine. And if we go here, let me do a refresh and data.ser. So this time, yeah, this influencer user is visible here. Other values also must be visible somewhere. If not here, then yeah, they must be available. I mean, this falls, and maybe these values are hidden somewhere here. Who knows? But at least influencer user, you are able to read. That means it's working fine. Okay. So now let's copy this demo and head towards our last demo. So for this, I will be copying demo number 8 because this contains the serializable and we don't want to continue with the externalizable. So I'll paste it here and make it as demo number 10. So we will reach here. Let me delete this particular one and it goes like this. So here we have something like this. Yeah. So in this one, again, we have this user. We are not going to make any of the changes here. It will remain as it is same. Then we have this influencer user. This one is also going to remain as it is same. And then we are going to have this gadget. So this one also will remain same only. So that means we don't have any changes in these classes. The only change is going to be in the demo class, because this demo will show that how we are going to perform serialization in the presence of multi-threading. Now for this, currently, as we know, we are just having a single data only, which we are trying to save, then we are trying to read. So with the help of this, it won't be able to showcase multi-threading in a better way. So what I will do is I'll just copy data from my another screen. So let me copy this particular part and I'm going to replace it in this place. So now it is going to look something like this, Control Shift O, and yeah, this is how it is going to look like. So basically what we are doing here is that first of all, we are taking help of int stream and we are seeing range closed. So when we say range close, this means it is going to provide us a stream of 10 elements. Why 10? Because we are starting from 1 and we are going till 10. So hence we will be getting for 10 items here. Then we are saying that keep on mapping them towards and create an influencer user. So here we are creating a gadget, then we are creating influencer user, and later on we are collecting it towards a list. So this means that currently I will be having a list of 10 users. Now I have kept simple names like brand1, type1, username1, password1, false, something like this. So this way I have kept the data. There can be another ways also. So maybe we can just say list of users equals to new array list. Then we will go with a for loop starting from 1 to 10. Within that, we are going to mention these lines. We are going to add it as a part of list. But instead of it, we are going with this particular one. Then the next one is, let's move on this data to the save data method, and this is the one. And the next part which we are going to do is that here, let me copy this and let me paste it somewhere here. And this is going to now receive a list of users. So this is how it is going to work. Here also, let me make other changes. So what we can do as of now is that we can directly write all the users at once. That means all these users will be returned as a part of list or whatever the collection you have created. So that way. But that is not our goal. So instead of it, what I want to do is that I want to write the users one by one here. So for this, what I will be doing is I will be going with a simple for loop here, and I'm going to say user, then here I'm going to say users in this particular way. And here also I'm going to make it something like this. And now I can just write it as something as user. Yeah. So now this looks better to me. And here, let me just select it and say Control Shift F. Yeah. So now this looks good. So what we are saying, we are going to save the users one by one. So this is the way. And in load data, I don't think so we need any change here. So let it be as it is. So this is a basic change. As of now, multi-threading didn't came up into the picture. So let's execute the same and have a look. So here on executing, we will see that first we say writing data, and then we are writing all the 10 users one by one. So you can see data is very simple. ID is 1, username 1, password 1, YouTube, gadget, brand 1, type 1, follower account 1 is verified, will remain false always. But while reading, it is only reading a single data. It's not reading all the data. The reason is because if I go somewhere into this particular point, that is load data. So here it is only reading one single user. But here, first of all, let's check whether it is writing all the users or not. So it may be a scenario that it has written just one user. That's why it's reading only one user. So if we go here, so you can see, again, I don't need this one. So we can see here that it started with somewhere as, yeah. So we can check from this. So here it says brand 1, type 1, which means it started from 1 and then it continued. Here it says this brand 2, type 2, username 2, and then continue. So it is going to look something like this: brand 9, type 9, username 9. And same way, if I will come here to this particular end, it will say me brand 10, type 10, username 10, and something like this, which means it's able to write all the 10 users, but it's not able to read. For this, what we will do is that instead of just saying read once, we are going to say keep reading till you reach the end of the file. So that's simple. Here we are just going to say a while loop, and we are going to make it an infinite while loop. So something like this, and here we are going to say something like this. And within this particular one, what we will do is here we are going to say Control Shift F. So this way it is going to look like. Now here again, let's save it, and again let's go for this particular one, and again let's run. Okay, I can see some error now. So this time what happened? First we wrote all the 10 users, then we are reading all the 10 users. We are able to read, that's fine. But then we are reaching end of file exception, that is EOF exception. And this time this is correct, because after reading all the users, again we were saying that okay, keep on continue reading. So at that point of time it said okay, there is no user, what should I read? So one question is, do we know somehow that okay, it has reached end of the file? The answer is no. Now we don't know how to reach end of the file. So the only way is that on these particular two lines, we are going to put up a try block, which is going to look something like this. And here it is going to look something like this. And here we are going to say catch. We are going to say end of exception in this particular way. And here we are going to break it. So again, Control Shift O. So this is how it is going to look like. And again, let me say here Control Shift F. So yeah, this is the one. So now we are saying the moment you will say end of exception, don't consider it as an exception as such and just simply break the loop. So now if I will again just execute, so you will see it is working fine. Now, the next question is, what do you think that while writing, how many threads are getting used? So you will say that, okay, Abhishek, currently there is no multi-threading, so none of the threads are coming into the picture. But what I can do is that from my another screen, I can just copy a particular line, and it's a very simple line. Yeah, nothing much to explain. So here we can just say thread dot current thread dot get me. So whatever is the current thread, we are going to print its name, and then we are going to say writing data. Let's execute. So again, if I'm going to execute this, so this time you will see that here it says main. So before this writing data, that is before this particular word writing data, always it is saying main, because currently there is only one thread and the name of that thread is the main thread. Yeah. Now you will say that, okay, how is it possible that main thread exists? So that means you have not watched my multi-threading video, you have not watched my concurrency videos. I have dedicatedly created videos for you guys, but if you are not going to watch and then you will say that, okay, Abhishek, you should have explained each and everything in detail, that is not possible. No? So the main thread is there. So this we have seen. Now the question is how to make it as multi-threading. So for multi-threading, what we are going to do here is, and only the saving part we are going to make as multi-threading, not the reading part. That is not an issue as of now. Yeah. So for this, what we will do is we will take help of executor framework, and here I'm going to say something is executor, and then I'm going to say service something like this, and here I'm going to say executor, and then I'm going to say executor service in this particular way, Control Shift O, and here I'm going to say executors, then I'm going to say new, and you can take any pool. So I will be taking a fixed thread pool, and I will be taking, let's say, 3 threads here. Okay, so just 3 threads I'm going to take here. So this is the one. And then what we are going to do here is that within the for loop, so there we are going to say executor service, and we are going to make usage of this submit method. And this submit method, as you know, it is going to accept an argument of type callable. So we will take callable, but again, as a what we say, I just forgot the name. So yeah, we call it as lambda expression. So we will be writing it as a lambda expression. So something like this, that happens. Okay. So we are going to write it like this. And both these lines, we are going to move inside this here, something like this. So this is the way. Now you will say, okay, Abhishek, what just happened? So here, first of all, we are saying executor service. So whenever this method will be invoked, every time we are creating an executor service with 3 threads, then we are saying executor.submit. So we will be iterating over the loop, but instead of single thread going with each and every user, we will be taking the threads from this executor service, and whichever thread is free, it will take user and it will do the job. Whatever is the job, we are writing within this submit. Now here you see it is throwing me some kind of exception. Now you may say that, okay, earlier it was not throwing this kind of IO exception. The reason it was throwing, but we were handling it here. This time, since we have written this logic within a lambda expression, hence we need to handle it explicitly. So for this, what we are going to do is we will be reaching over here, and okay, why isn't it showing me? Yeah, this way. So this line also I'm going to put inside this only, that is somewhere here. And in the IO exception part, what we will do is that whenever any exception will occur, so we are going to say something like this, and here we are going to say, so let's put up some failure here. So here we are going to say failure, so it is going to look like this, failure, and here we are going to print E. So let's print e.get message. Okay, if you will say E, it is going to print the whole stack trace, and that I don't want to be available here. Okay, so this way we are doing. Now the point is, this is executor service. So these 3 threads. So currently in my code, in total we are having 4 threads, 3 which are created from this executor service, and 1 is the main thread. So all these threads are going to compete with each other. Now, obviously, since executor threads are doing a hard work, so there are better chances that main thread will get time first, and hence main thread will try to close it. So what we will do is that here I'm going to copy this particular one, and outside this particular for loop that is in this particular place, here I'm going to say executor service, and here I'm going to say shutdown. So after everything is done, I'm going to say shutdown. And in case if shutdown doesn't happen, so we are just going to wait for like 2 minutes or whatever the time you can say. So these many time unit we can do. So here we are going to say time unit dot, and here let's say, yeah, 2 minutes. I mean, this completely depends on you, how much time you want to put up here. Yeah, since here my operation is that I need to write into a particular file, so hence I'm, and there will be like 3 threads, 10 data, so these many things, so hence I'm saying 2 minutes. It can be less, it can be more, depending as per the requirements. Okay, so there is no hard and fast rule for this. So now let's again execute the code and hope everything works well. So okay, we see some error. So this time it says writing data. It started writing the data. So here you can see thread 1. So pool 1 thread 1, and it has taken user ID 1. Then pool 1 thread 3, and it has taken user ID 3. Then pool 1 thread 2, it has taken user ID 2. Okay, that's great. So 3 threads, they took 3 different users. Now you will say, why isn't it saying 1, 2, 3? Why is it saying 1, 3, 2? The reason is 3 threads. So from here, they took first data came, it went to first thread, second data came, second thread, third data came, went to third thread. And then it depends on CPU time. CPU has its own choice to which thread it wants to give the time. So luckily here it first of all gave time to thread 1, then to thread 3, and then to thread 2. So this way it worked. Then you can see it is again giving time to thread 2 only, again to thread 2 only, again to thread 2 only, and this is just by chance. Okay, so there is nothing like that. So this way it is behaving here. But what we see is it's not able to write all the data. That is not possible. Okay, and hence since it wasn't able to write all the data, so when reading the data also, we'll see that okay, we were able to read one data, but then some exceptions started occurring. If I will execute it again, so there will be some different kind of exception. Okay, if I will execute it again, there will be some different kind of a thing. Yeah, so these things are keep on going to happen, but one thing is for sure common in all of them, that is here we are going to see that in some of the lines while writing, it will say not in read object invocation or field already read. So in this case, basically what happened is, let's say that basically a particular thread was trying to write the data. Now when it was trying to write the data, it read from my Java code, it was writing to this object output stream. Then from object output stream, it was going towards your file output stream, and then it was going towards your file. And it was going in the sequence of bytes. So as a bytes, it was going. So here what happened, when it was in middle of that particular stuff, in between time, let's say went to some other thread. Okay, or let's say someone else wrote the data into that particular buffer. So it was writing some of the things, but in between the main buffer itself changed, so data got corrupted. You can say it in the same way that you will identify if you have noticed that in the starting of the video I was wearing this green t-shirt, in between I was wearing the white t-shirt, and again here I'm wearing the green t-shirt. The reason for all this is that here when I was trying to make this kind of a demo, so in between the electricity went, and hence this part I'm going to record on the next day. So hence this is happening. But here still I was able to adjust all this data corruption. But here what happened, it wasn't able to handle all this kind of data corruption, and hence something like this occurred. Yeah. So what is the solution? Solution is very simple, that whenever we are writing the data, so we need to ensure that whenever it is writing the data, at that point of time, the control should not move out of this particular thread. As simple as that. And that can be done easily with the help of synchronized. So what we will do is that within this submit, that is within this particular block, here we are going to say that is synchronized. So it is going to look something like this, synchronized. And yeah, so here we will be saying synchronized, and let me just say it into this particular way. And here we are going to say it like this. So here we are going to say synchronized. But Directly putting a synchronized block is not enough here. So we need to mention some kind of object within this. Yeah. So if we need to mention some kind of an object, so one option is how to mention that object, and it can be anything. Okay. So what we can do is I can make it something like this object, and then I can say a lock, and then I can say new of object. Okay, so this is just a kind of a monitoring object. Okay, that there is some kind of lock. This is not our re-entrant lock or all those kind of things. Yeah. Okay, so I don't need to write here. I should be writing it in this particular one. Okay, so this is not those re-entrant locks and all other things. That's why you see I'm just making usage of object. It can be any simple object. We have taken it as a monitor. So this we have done. But now you see the issue here. What I'm doing is that basically for each and every user, I'm creating a lock. So there is no benefit of it. Okay. So instead of doing it, what we can do is that instead of creating it here, what if we make it within this method itself? Okay. That is before even starting this for loop. So this is going to work fine. And now if I'm going to execute it, so let's say it's something like this, and let's execute. So here you will see that it is working fine. Okay. Although I'm not saying that this time it is going to maintain a particular sequence. It is going to be completely random, but it is still working fine. It is able to read and write all the 10 data. But there is one issue here also. What happens that for, I mean, each and every this particular one where it went, and here it is, that for each and every particular data, or each and every time this particular method is being invoked, this particular new lock will be created. So instead of that, what we can do is we can make it on class level also. Okay, I mean, it is more better that you make it on class level because there is only one resource, your object output stream. Okay, so better to make it on class level. So we will do it like this, and here I'm going to call it as private and something like this. But again, the same issue. What if the new object of demo will get created somehow? Like here it is not possible, but in your main big code, what if a new object of demo will get created? Every time again new object will get created. So we can make it even as static and final. So now we are ensuring that in my whole scope there will be only one lock available. Okay, so just one single lock is going to be available in the whole scope, and hence there won't be any other kind of issue. And this is the best way. Although like here in the answer, it is not going to impact anything much. Okay, so this is how we are going to, I mean, so this is how our code is going to work fine here. So hence we have completed all the 11 demos which were a part of this particular video. And now let's move on back towards our presentation. So now let's cover the last part of this video, that is usages of serialization. So here the very first one and a clear usage is going to be that saving some object data into files like we were doing. Okay, not only in the files, in databases also it can be done. Now you will say that for database we are already having JDBC, we are having Spring, we are having Spring Data JP and all, we are having Hibernate. So why do we need serialization? Because many times what happens is that I want to save the whole object state as a part of a particular column only. So in many of the old codes and everything, what they do is in a single column, they serialized the whole object and they save it as it is. So at that point of time, again, this is going to be helpful. Next one is going to be communication, like how you can send some object over the network. So at that point of time also it is helpful in socket programming and everything. The serializable is going to remain same. Only the concept which I was showing you in the demo class, only that part is going to change. Rest everything in the class is going to remain same only. Then obviously in the caching, like whenever we are making usage of any kind of cache, how data gets stored there, again in the format of bytes only. But then how to convert data to bytes, again with the help of serialization. And the next one is RMI, that is remote method invocation. So for that also, for this remote method invocation, I'm not sure whether you have heard of it or not, but my brother is currently studying in MSc, and for him this was one of the topic in his syllabus. So for that I created a small demo also and I gave it to him. So that's the thing. But for this also it will be required. Now let's see the advantages. the basic and the very first advantage is it's very, very easy to implement. Like as you just saw, you just need to say implement serializable, nothing else. So you just need to say this, then a yellow symbol will appear. You just need to click and you need to generate a default serial version UID. No chance of mistake. Okay. So it's that easy. Next one is simplifies network communication, because as I said, you can send it over the network. So for that also it is very simple. Next one is object persistence. Obviously, since we are going to use it for that, so that also is done so easy. Otherwise, you can imagine that how we are going to save an object into a particular file if this is not available. Yeah? Then, not only this, many times we just want to format the data, we want to transfer an object from one place to another place. So for that particular purpose also it is being used. And the next and the last part is that here we don't need to worry about anything else. Okay, like saving, loading and all these things. We don't need to worry. It's that simple. We just need to invoke the methods and automatically everything is going to be taken care here. No? So that's the best part of this. Now let's talk about disadvantages. So the number one disadvantage is, which I personally don't consider as a disadvantage, that it is not human readable. The final binary file, which we were saying as data.ser. So that is not human readable. And the answer is, why do we want to read it as human? I mean, we are saying we are going to save it as in the serialized form. Have you ever thought of reading a .class file on your own? The answer is no. You say that, okay, we are going to read a .java file. We are not going to read .class file. So same way here, why do we want to read it? It is in the binary format. Next one is performance overhead. So this means, like in our case, you saw the moment we were increasing the object, like the object then have some particular child class also, then there was an associated class also. So the moment our object size was increasing, it is going to take more and more time. Because what happens here is that whenever you are going to serialize the object, it is going to be transferred over that particular stream. Now that stream has also some particular limit. So sometimes what happens is when your object is very, very large, you need to increase the limit of those streams also. That is too much advanced, but I hope that if you have understood all these basics, that part you can do on your own also by just searching over Google or just by going to the ChatGPT. But that happens at a very large scale. Then we have some security concerns also. Now, what it says is that we should not be deserializing any untrusted data. Okay, that was like a tongue twister, deserializing. So we should not be deserializing any untrusted data here. Now, why so? Because you have noticed what we can do is within our class, we can have that write object method, or we can have those read object method. So many times what can happen is the hacker, the other person, they can create some kind of object within the read object, within the write object. They can put some kind of malicious data, and then when you are deserializing it, then that code is going to execute automatically. So those things can happen up here. And last but not the least, the versioning issues. And for this, we know that, okay, for this, we are the only culprit. There is no other culprit for this, for the versioning issue. It's our responsibility that whenever we are creating a class which is serializable, we will be putting a serial version UID. If you are not going to put, you are going to face that kind of issue, which we have seen during the video. Now, I have one small question for all of you. And the question is that you will see that many times when we create a custom exception, at that time also, we have to put a serial version UID. Otherwise, we see that kind of yellow symbol. Now, the question is, I'm just making a custom exception. I'm not explicitly saying implement serializable. So why do we need to make that particular thing there? I mean, why do we need to serialize those exceptions? Answer is hidden in this video only. So if you have watched this video carefully, you will be able to answer this, that why in custom exceptions we need to put again the serial version UID when we are not even explicitly saying implement serializable. Okay, so let's see how many of you will be able to answer. I hope you find the video helpful. If yes, please do like the video, share it with your friends, and please, I mean, support me as much as possible. Most of the times you say that, okay, we like the video, but we are not going to share it with others. Then what's the benefit, guys? Yeah, I mean, then we are not working for the community. We are just working for ourselves. And that I can also do on my own. Okay, so please don't do that. Please try to share it with as many as you can. And as I always say, you are my brand ambassadors. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.